Look, I've had a lot of fun today watching your special, reading your brilliant book. Let's talk a little bit about your book, first of all, because it's a good place to start because it's all about your childhood, basically, really. So it's called The Secret Diary of a British Muslim aged 13 3/4. Yeah. So a little nod to Adrian Mole for the older people in the... I mean, we all know Adrian Mole, right? Even the many young people in the audience tonight. Heard of that. It's what made you want to write about your childhood, and why? It's an interesting format to choose, the diary format as well. What was?
Yeah, I think the reason I chose the diary format is because I don't know how to write, and I thought instead of writing prose, I'll just write in a diary format. It seemed like a bit of a shortcut, but the idea came from the publishers themselves. I had an idea of writing a book sort of 5-6 years ago called Islam for Infidels. Just sort of a dummy's guide to Islam, but with a provocative title that I thought could be quite fun. And then maybe write a couple of sample chapters. Seemed like quite good fun. And then when the pandemic hit, the department I was working with in the publishers just thought, okay, we need people to write books now, and they came to me with the idea of writing a biography because I'd never thought anyone would be interested, and they sort of talked me into it.
Yeah. I think but it's because the diary is not, you didn't actually write a diary, so you had to reconstruct the diary. I think that's harder than just writing it as a book, to say. I think because you've got to make sure the dates are right, and you've got to work out how you would have written.
I had a massive spreadsheet where I wrote the years across the top, all the months on the bottom, and then just tried to fill in as best I could from memory what would have happened then. And then the stuff that you shift around and you're like, that might have happened then, but I've got nothing for April 98. So I just pretend that thing happened in that month. I'll just place it there because I need something to write about in that month.
Yeah. And what I like about it is, and I'm sure this is intentional, is that, and everyone's going to identify with lots of it because it's about adolescence, and it's about the silly things we go through and the worries, and writing about big subjects, then writing about little subjects as if they're sort of equal. But then obviously it's also got this extra element of, for me at least, where your upbringing is very different to my upbringing, and what it is to be a Muslim in the UK, and all the terrible things you've been through, as well as a look at what family life is like for Muslim people in the UK. So it's a really, it draws you in. It makes you, it feels like universal, but then equally it's an experience that hopefully, I guess you're writing for both audiences, right? Both for Muslims in the UK and people who need to learn about.
Completely. I wrote, when I finished the book, I genuinely looked at it and I thought, I wish I read something like this when I was a kid. I wish like someone in my dad's generation had written a book about what it was like growing up in the 70s. Yeah. And so it's a snapshot of a specific period of time in a specific town, and what that was like for me as a British Pakistani lad. And there are some things that are completely universal. Yeah. Like fancying Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and there are things that are slightly less universal, like rocking back and forth in mosque while you're reading the Quran, which I never realised I did until someone pointed it out to me, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I do that. Why am I doing this?
Well, it's even like straight away, it's quite instant packed because you get run over like in the first few pages. Yeah. There's sort of fights and various, there's a great sort of story about you all trying to go and I don't know what you're going to do to the sheep, but you're going to go and try to get to some sheep in a farm, and the farmer sort of shooting at you. Shooting in the air.
So our high school was basically next to there were two high schools, and between them was some woods and some farmland and stuff. Yeah. And so lunchtime was like an hour and 10 minutes, and so we always set ourselves a challenge of what is the furthest we can go into. Woods were out of bounds as well. So this is Bit Park High School for anyone who knows it. And so woods were out of bounds anyway. So we just go and play in the woods, like, because in my head we were famous five, but I never said that out loud because the boys probably would have punched me if I told them that I read. And it was I got into sort of digression. I got into Harry Potter because my older sister, borrowed it from my younger cousin, and she read it and she loved it. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to read a book about a wizard. And then she said, well, actually, our cousin Shiraz, she goes, Shiraz has read it as well. Now, at that point in my life, Shiraz just a month ago had gone into another school and hit someone in the head with a hammer.
Right.
And I thought, well, if Shiraz has read it, then it must be quite cool then. So and that's why I read Harry Potter 1, because my cousin Thor had read it. But no, so these woods were sort of in between these two schools, and we just had the idea, like, could we reach the other school and be back in time? The answer is no, but there was one time where we saw some sheep and, like we weren't doing anything ungodly to the sheep, but, we were chasing them around because we were young lads. And then there was a farmer who had a shotgun who just hit one blast into the air, and we just our ears were ringing, and we just fled in all different directions, and some of us got caught and some of us never.
Yeah, so that's all very exciting. And then there's the stuff that, it's interesting because even though I'm interested in religion and I'm interested in this subject, I realised how little I know about Islam really, and about what goes on. So all that stuff's very interesting, and what and what the family life is, and what the like you say, the mosque things. I think the thing that really caught my attention, both in the book and in your Radio 4 show, was the shaving aspect of Islam, which I was not aware of. The things that you have to shave.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, in Islam, men and women have to remove our pubic hair and armpit hair. So that's a thing that we do. So yeah,
is that where this started for men? Because guys never used to win there. And in the 70s, everyone had bushes and women had bushes. So I can't remember the last time I saw a proper thatch.
I don't think many Muslim bushes were captured in the 70s.
No, I'm not. I'm talking generally. But then now guys have started doing it as well. So
We started that. Yeah, the trend that we thought came from pornography came from us.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that. But it's weird for me because I'm a very hairy man.
I can tell.
I've got one tattoo, and it's of Chewbacca, just from head to toe. And so shaving certain areas does then make it look quite odd, I think.
Yeah.
Like an elephant creeping out of a bush, just. So yeah, it's a bit odd when I shave some areas, and I'm like, but I'm just so hairy everywhere else. It's weird. It's weird.
And the first time you had to do that, you sort of write about doing it in the bath and and clogging up the bath and everything.
Yeah. Well, I was too embarrassed to ask anyone.
Yeah.
Didn't have a good relationship with my stepdad. Didn't then also have a good relationship with my own dad. Although I is not close enough to be like, how do I shave my dick? And so you just kind of go, well, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So I just started doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's such a human story and a human moment, but also like what kind of mind blowing as well. So it's great. So those things I think are just terrific. But then also obviously on the other side is the racism that you faced as well, which I think you cover really well, because it's not it's a part of this book. It's not it would be easy, I'm sure, to write a book that was about the racism that you encountered, and it wouldn't be as it's not a light touch, because that's not the right way of saying it, but you know what I mean. It's not it's not pervading the whole thing.
Dominate our lives. No. It's sort of look back at it retrospectively and go, oh my God, there was a lot of awful shit going on.
Yeah.
But at the time when you're living through it, you never think that. And I mean, unless you're in like a literal war zone or something, you never think your life is that bad, because you become conditioned to your own experiences. And so whatever is happening in your life, because it's happening to people around you and to everyone in your community, is kind of just normal.
Yeah, sure.
And these weren't everyday stories. These weren't things that you're doing every day, people coming and going, oh, this happened and this happened. It just, it happened now and again.
Yeah. And, I suppose, but all the world of, it's interesting, the world events that happen, and a lot of big world events happened in those years. I mean, the Princess Diana dying, and there's a sort of, well, you're a student, you're a clever guy at school, but you've got a big mouth, I think it would be fair to say.
Yeah.
So there's, when Jill Dando dies, you sort of make an inappropriate joke about Jill Dando that you get into a lot of trouble for. And then obviously 9/11 is sort of towards the end of the book.
It's the headliner.
Yeah. But that obviously had a huge impact, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I nearly did the same joke as you did about Chilton, but yeah, on your lives.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's interesting because straight after 9/11, I went to university. It was literally, I think, 2 or 3 weeks later, so I was 18 and a half, to keep to the theme of the book. And yeah, I went to uni, and it was just so weird because I had come from this very insular Pakistani Muslim community, and the school was quite mixed, everything else really wasn't. And then suddenly thrust into Lancaster, up the road, and very, very middle class, very white. Everyone who wasn't white was a foreign student. So suddenly I'm best friends with people from all over the country, from all walks of life, from different classes and stuff that I'd never really thought about. And just some of those lads had such dark senses of humour. Which I think really helped shape me into sort of what I eventually became.
Yeah.
Because they were cracking all sorts of 9/11 jokes and stuff that then kind of bizarrely just made me more comfortable. I was like, oh, this is lads.
Yeah.
This is sort of stuff that we laugh about at home. It was
Of
just,
course. Yeah, and and humour, it's interesting, isn't it, how humour it can be used to pull people apart, and it can be used to bring people together.
Yeah.
And almost sometimes the same joke. It's just the way it's told, or how much you trust the person, how you like the person. It's
completely, it happens all the time where a joke in a room is received in a certain way.
Yeah.
And then you put it on YouTube, and then suddenly the whole world can see it, and it's received differently, and you're like, oh, hang on, but in the room, people were fine.
Yeah.
But it's not in the room anymore.
Yeah.
People then tend to not enjoy it as much sometimes.
Sure, and I quite like the fact that you studied biochemistry at university, just as sort of anthrax was being sent in the post.
Yeah, so there were like jokes to make about that and stuff. It was just it was a fun period for dark jokes.
Yeah. Yeah, if only there could be another 9/11.
Yeah, honestly.
If only something would happen.
Very good for my career.
Yeah.